Now, seasons one and two really sort of were kind of one story arc. I wouldn't say things were resolved, but there was some conclusion to that story, and the next chapter, let's say, is beginning with season three.
Yeah, I think chapter is the perfect word, the term that we may end up using. Let's go out for a second to the bigger picture of the web series world, of which I find myself at the epicenter in some strange way because of LA Web Fest with Michael Ajacqui, and you know, we have now Melbourne Web Fest, and we have a Hong Kong Web Fest.
There's one in London in late October.
I know, we just heard about that. We were a little late to apply, but we'll get it next year. And of course, Marseille Web Fest in France, and we have been accepted into that, and we'll be.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It's so exciting. We actually just sent over episode 10 with subtitles in French. It's wonderful to have to do that, right? Is like, who thought we'd ever have to do that? But getting back to the story arc, I think that chapters are a right way to go about it. And I like to look back into history in terms of storytelling and say, what is this like, in order to maybe inform us? Because no one really knows where we're going with web series or web content or series that will eventually be seen on your computer screen as opposed to your television screen. There is a convergence happening as we speak. It's so exciting to be able to play in the game at all. David Samuels at Coldcast is very much involved in it. I think he's got the right idea of collating great shows so that when you go on Coldcast TV, you're able to sit for an hour or two, however long you want, and watch endless, beautiful material of some of the best web series out there. But chapters are the right term because it reminds me a lot of what Charles Dickens was doing back in the 1860s when he wrote A Christmas Carol and others. I don't know that people know that, but
he serialized the magazines.
He serialized
in
magazines, one chapter at a time, or perhaps I wasn't there.
I was very young at that time. So.
Yes, I was just a baby with an English accent. But you know, the same sort of thing. If people would wait, and chapter one would come out, and they'd get a feel for whether anybody wanted to see it, and the popularity would grow based on each chapter. And I'm hoping, hint, 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 that people can get involved in the story of Darkpool and hold on long enough so that we can continue to complete the 40-chapter story. I'm 10 in. I know exactly how many will be needed in order to finish the story arc, and I have 30 more to go. We just finished episode 11 and are in post-production for it, so we gonna do it. But it's very much like that. We're like, if you like what you're seeing, please support us and help us grow and maybe even produce faster. This might even mean tossing money in or that sort of thing, but we got to figure this out so that we can continue to produce television in this manner.
Now, in choosing the web in this format, you chose a short form format. The episodes are a few minutes in length. You called them bite size. I love that word. That's what I use to describe them.
Yeah.
There's an element to that I really like with suspense shows. Somehow the short form heightens suspense.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of extraneous story or information.
Well, let's go to that. You say I chose that, and I'm amused by that term because I think it chose me. You know, because I was watching these web series with my filmmaking students who are in the high school level, and they were like, "Oh, Mr. Gott, you have to see this." And after asking, "Will I be fired?" You know, what are we about to unload on ourselves here? Because the web is kind of dangerous for a teacher to just say like, "Yeah, show me stuff." Right? They said, no, it's perfectly all right. They showed me, actually, one thing was called Slender Man. Some people might know that one. And it was good in some ways. I thought the production values were like less than I was hoping for, but that inspired me rather than hurt me because I thought we could do better than that in terms of the camera. They didn't light anything. The audio was off of the camera. But my students sat there just completely enwrapped in this story that was being told. And I said, you don't mind the production values being off? because they were filmmaking students and they should know better. No, we don't care. It's the story. And that woke me up. I thought, oh my gosh, people care about story first. I mean, I love production value, don't get me wrong. And if you can get it, great, but there is value in the story still. So
well, your production values in Darkpool were broadcast quality. I mean, it was beautifully filmed.
Thank you.
The sound was beautiful. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to follow up just because I know my teammates are going to watch this and go like, thanks, dude. I don't want to take a thing away. I have Mike Malmberg, who is 30 years into being one of the best cinematographers, I think, in the business. Happens to be a family member, actually, an extended family member.
Okay, because I was going to say you have several Malmbergs who.
There are some Malmbergs, Gott's, Pollards, and Malmbergs.
Cinematographers, so.
Yeah, I dragged my family in first. I've known Mike and Rich, his brother. They're Iron Mountain Films.
Okay.
I've known them for upwards of 25 years, and they've been in business making the best commercials, corporate videos. They do that sort of thing, but they're also highly creative and have quite a slew of creative pieces behind them. In fact, Mike and Lynn just finished a feature film called Stolen Moments, which is hitting the festival circuit. So they're trying to balance their art with just paying the rent, with keeping their business alive, which they've done successfully for 25 years. So I don't want to take anything away from production value. If you can get it, then you've got something. A good story, well acted, and you've already talked about the quality of the actors in Darkpool. I'm so blessed because I have it all, because I live in this community of amazing people who are willing to take that little bit of time and effort with Rick Gott, that's me, and say, okay, I'll give of my time for the young people. Your heart's in the right place. Let's see what happens. And when we drop these things on YouTube initially, before Coldcast came into our lives, on October 13th, Black Friday, in 2011, we just thought that would be the end of it. We're going to drop the first 5 on, and here you go. Wasn't that fun? And it just sort of took off. And LA Web Fest called and said, we'd like to give you these awards, you know, and now I'm putting subtitles on things to go to Marseille, France, and so it's really become this blessing of like, I guess it worked, and now where do we go from here, you know?
Well, and because as you said, you dropped on 2011. It was 2 years.
Yes. October, yeah.
Shows don't go away on the web, so it's a constant promotion to keep your show out there in front of viewers, isn't it?
It's forever. Yeah, it's really the great thing about it. Unless something changes, in fact, we're talking to, I don't want to get too commercial here, but you know, eventually we're going to have to say, like, how can I keep this dream alive? You can't ask people to do things for free forever. So we're sort of chasing the idea of sponsorship, and that's one of the benefits of the web. If someone says, I like the old world support of a sponsor. You remember, we both are too young to remember the actual days, but we've seen the reruns where this show was brought to you by the good people at...
Oh, well, Milton Berle's Texaco Star Theater, the whole idea of soap operas were branded radio shows. I mean,
exactly. Branded
of a show has been around almost as long as the broadcast industry.
So I wonder who...
By the way, I think it's brilliant how people have now applied it to this sort of content.
We are looking for sponsors is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure what Darkpool will, you know, support. Like what kind of companies, like, oh, we want our brand on Darkpool because it's an odd little story. But that's the dream, is to have someone be able to fund it so that we can continue with that. Just to keep it going. That's an off point.